Good afternoon from the Imperial Corps. You can call me Prosper short for We All Can Prosper, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I had spent so long just surviving my world, but now that I had a little space to observe it, I began to see the world like Mama. I was scared, confused, angry, and heartbroken. So, I finished Hillbilly Elegy. And I'll start by saying if you want to look into the Republican vice presidential candidate's view of his own past and rise to achieving the American dream, or a look at what life can be like for a large section of our population, those unseen workers who have their futures choked off by the never-ending and unscrupulous chase for corporate profits, those family lines who couldn't leave as the linchpins of their town economics fled to cheaper labor, have a listen or a read. Again, shout out to your local library. Especially littered through Appalachia, the Rust Belt, and the lovely Midwest, communities were abandoned and left to fend for themselves when the primary means of resource and capital manipulation left for greener grasses. It still happens, and at times you are left with shattered families who suddenly lost their chance at a middle-class life, and continues to create cycles of generational trauma, exacerbated ultimately by the greed of a few. Rippling outward, this has crippled larger and larger parts of our population and our ability to again manipulate capital ugh, and resources, leaving that ability in smaller and smaller groups of hands. This is kind of what I'd like to say I took from Hillbilly Elegy, but in honesty, from JD, I took an interest to look at a couple more books to get an insight more into him, the truly disadvantaged and losing ground, and hopefully I'll get to them after I go through white poverty. I also learned that you should blame the people, not the situation, that people are wrong and not society. He was a public affairs Marine, and I think I connect with him a little bit, having to manage above your rank and feeling good in yourself for succeeding despite the difficulties. I assume that is where he picked up his ability, though, to tactfully bring any question back to promoting a specific story, regardless of personal beliefs and ideals. Having the luxury of being an unburdened single white male, who outside of insurance help from Mama, through the assistance of people who cared for him, including his military supervisors, who took an interest, at a minimum to make sure they weren't responsible for your failures, but I assume he was lucky enough, as myself, to have ones who extended a familial level of care and interest. I don't have the experience of a Yale-level prestige, and I think his success and connections there solidified in his mind that hard work uh, makes success attainable for anyone, where I think it is limited here, and only a few are allowed to escape the general tenuous life of the working class. Maybe that is a bit harsh to be what I take from JD's interpretation of how to succeed. Working hard and overcoming these issues, no matter how lucky you are, should be tacked on to the back of that. He has achieved an envious amount of capitalist success. After the book, venture capital money and investments, maybe I can find some info down that route. But the fact of the matter is, if you can't get a good enough paying job, it's your fault, even if you're not lucky enough to have a friend that owns a warehouse to help you get a start. Dead town? Move. No rental history? Bad or no credit? This list goes on. Hope you have a great mama who is willing to sacrifice the clothes off their back, pay for your ability to go practice golf and hobnob with the bigwigs. And then, when you make it to vying for one of the most powerful positions in the U.S. government, advocate for policies to perpetuate the harms you lived through. That is kind of what I take away from this memoir. If I end up needing to pay more attention to him, those two winning, hopefully I'm wrong.